Dear Lord, please block anybody trying to interfere with whatever you brought me here to do today. Do step in and deliver your messages to we, your children. Personally, I'm hoping for something that's not too heavy today. But I'm going to allow God to use me, so let's see. I'm going here. God said we're going here. So we were reading Ezekiel. We finished chapter 1 and chapter 2. It says the book of the prophet Ezekiel. So chapter 1 was explaining how God appeared to Ezekiel, which was rather fascinating. Anybody who was here listening and joining in when we did chapter 1 and chapter 2, I know they must have been like, that's in the Bible. And if we don't open the book, we don't know what else is in there. Okay? So yeah, those creatures, they sounded quite alien. They sounded like what we would call aliens, didn't they? God's entourage is the body of a man with 4 faces. A man's face at the front. I think they said a lion on the right, and at the back, the face of an eagle. That's what God's entourage looked like. And their whips, their rides, their vehicles is basically flying saucers, spaceships. They said that it looked like a wheel within a wheel. Now, is the wheel standing vertically or horizontally? They weren't really clear about that. And they said there were eyes all around the wheels, so they could see in every direction. This is God's entourage. This is their whip. This is their ride. This is how they showed up to the prophet Ezekiel. And I have been led to share this reading, this book, this story of Ezekiel with those of us who are called to be prophets of the Most High God. Because I got to like chapter 3 or something like that, and it was saying about, it was basically rules about how obligated we are to give the messages when God give us messages to give to the people. Okay? But yeah. And then on these wheels, back to the God's entourage and their ride, their whip, their vehicle. I would imagine it's a wheel within a wheel. So it's like a two-layered wheel. I'm gonna imagine it horizontal, not vertical. It could be vertical too though. But they were saying over that, like the hood, not the hood, the roof of the whip is a green crystal called beryllium. They said beryl in the Bible, but when we looked it up, those of you who were here last time, they said beryl is beryllium. So it's like a green crystal as the roof of their spaceship. Because that's basically what it is. Because it wasn't on the ground, it moves as fast as the flash of lightning, going from place to place. And we only spaceships we know move like that. We don't know of any modern day vehicle that moves that fast. We would call that a UFO, an unidentified flying object. Okay? That's how God rolled up on Ezekiel. Now, that was just God's entourage. God now was above that, surrounded, if I remember correctly, by blue, sapphire. Something was blue. And then there was a yellow light. Hang on, let me see. I'll go back in my own time. But it was something blue, because they mentioned God's throne. They mentioned a light that's going about God from God's loins over the head, and also from the loins down to the feet. So I think that was the yellow light. They call it amber in the Bible. But yeah, that was God's entrance. That's how God turned up and rolled up and introduced itself to Ezekiel to give Ezekiel these messages about becoming a prophet, right? So some of us have been called to be prophets and prophetesses, and I have been instructed to share from Ezekiel's testimony, Ezekiel's story, the information that God needs the rest of us to know about becoming prophets or being prophets, right? So I was just doing a slight recap of chapter 1 and chapter 2. Now we're going to move into chapter 3. Right. So if you haven't watched part 1 and you're interested, you can find it. It's a picture of the Bible as the thumbnail, which I'm going to use for this one as well. I didn't put it before because I wasn't sure what I was coming on here to do. But when I'm done, I'm going to put the thumbnail on there and the caption. All right, so chapter 3, verse 1. We got moreover. The poisons are in the air. I think my blanket is just covered in it. It says, moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that you find, eat this roll, and go speak unto the house of Israel. Now, I was mentioning also when it comes to the word Israel, God's people, it's a matter of flipping the E and the A, turn them around, and you get Israel. Because The chosen of God are truth speakers, truth seekers. Come what may, it doesn't matter how much they fight us. We seek the truth, we live the truth, we suffer for the truth if that's what it takes. Okay? So this Israel, I don't know nothing about Israel. Those are not the chosen of God. It's Israel. Those who speak the truth, because we're persecuted for the truth. Okay? So when we're reading this, we're going to talk to the children of Israel. R-E-A-L. Not Israel. As far as I'm concerned, I have nothing to do with those people and whatever they got going on over there. Okay? Because there's a lot of corruption and whatnot going on over there, and that's not what God is into. God is into truth. God is into justice. God is into doing what is right, saying what is right. God is into standing up for the right. Okay? This character called Jesus, he was taken to the cross and persecuted in the worst way for what is right, what is true. Okay? And that's how we are called to be. Anything less than that, and we are unqualified to be called servants of the Lord. Christians. Okay? To be a Christian, you have to be like Christ. When the fight gets really hard, even in the face of death, we should not cower. We should not sell out God. We should not betray God or give up on God and the mission that God gave us. We should keep going forward in spite of. Even if we're faced with a hungry lion, like Daniel in the lion's den, God expects us to stand firm in faith. That's how you know if you are a chosen one or not. Anything less than that, and you are not it. You are not one of them. So don't lie to yourself. If the doers of evil can get you to change your mind by making you suffer, you are not a chosen one. Chosen ones keep going forward come what may, even in the face of death, even in the face of loss, even in the face of ridicule, even in the face of humiliation, even in the face of loneliness, even in the face of poverty. We do not switch on God. We keep rolling with God, for God, and ultimately for ourselves. If that's not how you're rolling, you are not a chosen one. You are another sellout. Because when the battle get real hot, you are one who is going to deny God. You are going to defy God, disobey God, because you're afraid of what the enemy might do to you, to your flesh, to your reputation, to your children, to those you love, to those things that you love. We don't bow for anything but God. Let me just make that abundantly clear. So when you're looking at me going through what I'm going through and you're wondering why I'm going through this and I just won't quit, it's because I am a chosen one. And for me to quit is to renounce my position as a chosen one, thereby forfeiting my grand inheritance. And I'm not doing that. My future is going to be bright. It don't matter how much you suffer me. when it's all said and done, I'm still going to win in the name of God. And that's why I could go through the fire with a smile on my face. Real joy in my heart. Okay? I'm built different. I'm not built like the average human being. Yes, it may be scary sometimes. It may be lonely sometimes. It may be heartbreaking sometimes. It may be heavy sometimes. I get tired sometimes, but I'll never want to quit. Before I quit, I pray. Come unto me, all those who are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. That's what God said. So when you feel empty, when you feel weak, you pray. You ask for renewal from the God of renewal. So there's no excuse for us to quit on God. God is the giver and the taker of life. The enemy cannot kill that which God wants alive. There's a story in the Bible where it says that Jesus waited until Lazarus was dead to bring Lazarus back to life. What do you think God is trying to tell us there? Death has no power when God is concerned. This is real. Is real. It's like the truth is so plain in our faces to see. Wow. Yeah, man, this is real. Anywho, so let's clear my nose again. Yeah, I think my blanket is really saturated in the poison. I can't even use it tonight. Come what may, we keep going. When we belong to God, when we dedicate ourselves to God, death has no power over us. The enemy knows that. How many times have they killed you? And you came back to life. Because God said God wants you alive. I'm going to tell you an experience that I had. They have killed me at least once before. And God brought me back to life in this lifetime. I think it was around 2009. About 2009 this happened. 2009, 2010. They killed me. And God brought me back to life. How? How do I know that I died and was brought back to life? One day, when I found out, or when I had the experience, when I had the do-over, I don't know how much time passed in between when they killed me and when I had the vision. But let me tell you what happened. So in 2009, 2010, I was in England and I went to visit a friend of mine. At least in my eyes, he was a friend of mine. We were at an allotment where you plant foods and stuff like that. And I was leaning over his car like this, and I was talking to him. And for a good 5 seconds or something like that, it's like I did all this already. All this happened already. How come I'm feeling it happening? How come I'm seeing it and experiencing it again? And you know, they taught us this thing they call deja vu. Deja mean like already, and then vu talk about seen, already seen. But in my experience, what was happening there is not anything that I had seen before. It was not in my memory. It's something that I felt I did before, because at no time before that experience had I seen anything remotely close to that. Not in a dream, not in a vision, nothing. Okay? That wasn't in my memory bank, none at all. But while I was hanging over his car talking to him, and I was feeling and seeing myself having the same conversation, talking to the same person, same car, same pose, same everything. Everything felt like I did this already. So just for like a 5-second clip. So I had to separate this deja vu that they taught us with what I term déjà fait. Because in French, the word faire means to do. So I felt like this is something I already done. So I don't think I invented the term déjà fait. But if déjà vu is something that we've already seen, then déjà fait is something we've already done. We've already experienced this. It wasn't a vision. This was a real life. I've done this before. So it's like somehow my life was taken when I was having that conversation in the previous experience. And God is like a do-over. It's like we gonna do that over again. It's like cut. And then it's like God brought me back to life, and it's like let's do this over again, and everybody's gonna make some different choices. And as far as I know, I haven't been successfully killed again. Now, when that happened on that day, I brushed it off because I was that in 2009 I wasn't as conscious then of life and magic and like what God can do. Hang on. And all these things, right? I've guessed. So yeah, I wasn't so conscious of it then. But in 2000 and around this is after I started reading cards, I got curious. So I started reading cards in about 2018. So this could have been 2019, anything like 2020, 2021. I got curious about that experience because I don't experience that a lot. But I got curious about that experience because it's like now that I have these cards and I can talk to God and actually ask questions about things that I want to know about and actually get like immediate responses, I'm like, I'm gonna do this check to find out what the hell that was. And that's when the cards were revealing to me that it was heavenly helpers and it was I was brought back to life and had to do it over again. And that's the day when I came up with Deja Fait, because I was quite clear about the fact that I hadn't seen that vision before at any time. It wasn't anything in my memory. It's something that I know I did before at the time when it was happening. I was feeling, I don't even know if I said it to him, but it's like, I did all this already. This happened already. So I'm telling you that story to show you that the enemy has no power over death. God has all power over death and life. So there's no reason for us to sell out God. and be afraid of what the enemy can do to us. I have learned that lesson firsthand because it is my testimony that they killed me. And I did the do-over in 2009. Okay? That day when I was seeing that vision, while I was talking to the dude hanging over his car, I knew I had done this before. I didn't see this in a vision. I didn't see this in a dream. It wasn't a premonition or anything like that. Because when it was happening, I wasn't thinking, I've seen this before. I was thinking, I did this already. I was blessed with the opportunity to be conscious of the fact that we did this already. We had this conversation already. In this position, in this place, me and you saying exactly what we're saying right now. And at no time before that experience did I see that thing happening. So it was not deja vu. It is only when it was happening that I realized I had done this before. God gave me the pleasure of being aware of the fact that we did all this already. And I let it go. But in 2018, when I got the cards and I started teaching myself, or God started teaching me, I started experimenting with them. Eventually, like 2 years or so after, I was like, we need to revisit that to see what that was. Because I don't usually get these deja vu moments. It's deja fait. But I have had it before. It has happened before, but I wasn't so conscious of if it is something that I've seen before. But I think that even when it happened before, it's not something that I had seen before either. If my memory served me right. But that experience there that happened in 2009, I was sure God made me fully conscious of what the hell was going on. Because God want me to know that the enemy has no power over death. So I don't know if dude led me there and if he was the one that finished me or if some other people, because you know the enemy been after me for forever. If they came in and finished me there or what. But I've heard a story about how the government was killing this man. There was this black man and they kept killing him thinking that they could finish him, and the man just kept coming back together and coming back to life. They even go so far as to take his life, chop him up in pieces, so the story goes, and take his pieces to different parts of the world, and still the next morning, the man end up in the people in office again. The enemy has no power over life or death. They only know how to convince people that they do. They're great pretenders. That's the truth of the matter. Right. So let's go into chapter 3, prophets and prophetesses. Let's see what God needs us to know, because this is what God wants us to pay attention to today. I might come back on and do some readings, like some spiritual guidance readings, because with all the readings that been coming up before, it's like some people might need that spiritual guidance. Like just a little quick thing, nothing that gonna be too long, but sign by sign. And I think I'm gonna split them up male and female as well, so that the sign is more tailored to you guys specifically. Okay, so That's what I wanted to do, but God wanted to do this because this is very important. This is like foundational things. Okay. So, chapter 3, Ezekiel, the book of Ezekiel, the book of the prophet Ezekiel. It says, moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, eat that you find. Eat this scroll and go speak unto the house of Israel. Okay, for right now, we're going to hold both in our minds, Israel and Israel, because I don't really know who God is talking to. But just know that we, the chosen ones, we are the children of Israel. Who is Israel? I don't know. But I'm not one of them. It says, so I opened my mouth and he caused me to eat the roll. And he said unto me, Son of man, cause your belly to eat and fill your bowels with this roll that I give you. Cause your belly to eat. Then did I eat it, and it was in my mouth as honey for sweetness. Interesting. Verse 4. And he said unto me, Son of man, go, get you unto the house of Israel, and speak with my words unto them. 5, verse 5. For you are not sent to a people of a strange speech and of an hard language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many people of a strange speech and of an hard language, whose words you cannot understand. Surely, had I sent you to them, they would have hearkened unto you. Go back over that again. For you, verse 5, for you are not sent to a people of a strange speech or of a hard language, but to the house of Israel. Not to many people of a strange speech and of a hard language, whose words you cannot understand. Surely, had I sent you to them, they would have hearkened to you. Hearken mean like listen to you or paid attention to you. But who's the them that they're speaking of? Let's read on. Verse 7. But the house of Israel will not hearken unto you, for they will not hearken unto me. For all the house of Israel are impudent and hard-hearted. Okay, so God is saying, if I had sent you to some people who you don't speak the same language as them, then they would have listened to you. Isn't that weird? But it's like God is saying, I'm going to send you to these people to tell them what I have to say, because I've been talking to them and they're not listening to me. And I'm going to send you and they're not going to listen to you either, Ezekiel. That's basically what God is saying. Verse 8. Behold, I have made your face strong against their faces and your forehead strong against their foreheads. Verse 9. As an adamant harder than flint have I made your forehead. Fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. You see that? It's kind of like when God was sending Jonah to Nineveh, and Jonah knew that these people were some horrible people. Jonah's like, they're going to kill me. So these people that God is sending Ezekiel to give these messages to, they are ruthless, okay? And God said, I have made your face strong against their face in verse 8, and your forehead strong against their foreheads. So God is ensuring Ezekiel that, look, I've made you stronger than them. And when he says strong, your forehead strong against their foreheads, is God talking actual physical? Because at this point, the way how God showed up with this entourage, with these creatures, with the four faces and that, I could easily believe that God actually fortified um Ezekiel's bones to be resistant to damage, because God started off the book with some magical things, some extraordinary things. So it wouldn't be illogical to believe that God actually physically made Ezekiel's bone structure harder than these people, because God know that they're rebellious. They will kill him. So to stop them from killing Ezekiel, God has fortified Ezekiel, not only in a spiritual sense, but also in a physical sense. Isn't that interesting? So yeah, so God says, as an adamant, verse 9, as an adamant harder than flint, have I made your forehead harder than flint. Do you know what they use flint for? Flint is what they use to make weapons and stuff. It's like that stone, if I'm not mistaken, that they use to make weapons and knives and stuff like that. So imagine how strong that is. It's kind of like iron. So God said, fear them not, neither be dismayed at their looks, though they be a rebellious house. So God is preparing Ezekiel that, yeah, they're going to be mean to you, Ezekiel. Don't expect friendly faces when you go to deliver these messages, okay? But don't be afraid of them either. So prophets and prophetesses, that's the message, right? Just in case we meet upon these kind of circumstances. Verse 9. Moreover, he said unto me, Son of man, all my words that I shall speak unto you, receive in your heart, and hear with your ears. Verse 11. And go, get you to them of the captivity unto the children of your people. So Ezekiel was an Israelite too. And speak unto them and tell them, thus says the Lord God. Thus says the Lord God, whether they will hear or whether they will forbear. So whether they're hearing you or not, go and tell them, thus says the Lord. ... Let's read on. Verse 12. Then the Spirit took me up, and I heard behind me a voice of a great rushing, saying, Blessed be the glory of the Lord from his place. 13. Verse 13. I heard also the noise of the wings of the living creatures, God's entourage, and touched one another, and the noise of the wheels over against them, and the noise of a great rushing. Interesting. Let's go. 14, verse 14. So the Spirit lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness in the heat of my spirit, but the hand of the Lord was strong upon me. So Ezekiel was vexed. Kind of like Jonah. It's scary. Okay? What we have to do, my fellow prophets and prophetesses, it is not an easy job. That's why the people want to kill me for coming on here and sharing the kind of messages that I bring here, because it's going to change society. It's going to change people's minds. People are going to see clearly how they can do things to benefit themselves. Those who would listen and believe, they're going to change their lives for the better. And those who hope to keep them captive or keep us captive, they're not going to be happy with that. And yet still know that some of these people who need the messages that we're bringing to them, because they are messages of healing, okay? They are messages necessary for making their lives better. They're going to hate us for bringing them these messages. Why? I don't know. But we are obligated to tell them anyway. So God lifted Ezekiel up So that's why the noises of the living creatures and the wheels and that. So it's like they took Ezekiel up into their vehicle. And Ezekiel say, and I went in bitterness, verse 14, in the heat of my spirit, bruv. He said, but the hand of the Lord was strong upon me. It's like, I can't resist. It's like, shit, what could I do? But verse 15, then I came to them of the captivity at Tel Aviv, or I guess that would be like Tel Aviv. I don't know. And then I came to them of the captivity at Tel Aviv, who dwelt by the river of Chebar. And I sat where they sat, and remained there astonished among them 7 days. So they took Ezekiel up in the spaceship, or we're going to call it a spaceship, and they took him to where they needed him to be among the people. Now the question is, can the people see him? Because how we started in chapter 1, it's like Ezekiel was having a vision. That's how Ezekiel, he say, he opened up the heavens. Let's see. I can't remember which verse it was in. What are we on? We're on 15. Remember, I made a big deal of this opening up of the heavens. It's in verse 1. It says that the heavens, okay, it says, now it came to pass, so the first verse of chapter 1. Now it came to pass in the 30th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Chebar. So he was already among the captives by the river of Chebar, that the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. So that's why I was questioning, is this the physical heaven, or I don't think it was just a vision. I feel like God appeared to him in the 3D, like physical reality. It wasn't a third eye thing. It wasn't him seeing it with his mind's eye. It actually happened in reality. So over here now in 15, verse 15, chapter 3, it says, then I came, so the Spirit lifted me up, verse 14. So the Spirit lifted me up and took me away, and I went in bitterness in the heat of my spirit, but the hand of the Lord was strong upon me. Then I came to them of the captivity at Tel Aviv. So it was 15, sorry, it was verse 15. Then I came to them of the captivity at Tel Aviv, who dwelt by the river of Chebar, and I sat where they sat, and remained there astonished among them 7 days. But he was already, so maybe it's like a different set of people. All right, because usually you'll have like ranking, so it'll be like the people who are really about nothing, and then there'll be the set of people that could actually change things. Although they're captives, there's still a kind of rank, there's still a hierarchy. There's always a hierarchy. Okay. Verse 16. And it came to pass at the end of 7 days that the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, so God allowed him to observe them for 7 days, and then God spoke again. So now this could just be like, I don't know how he's receiving the messages, but it's like this is 7 days after God appeared to him in a real life with all those theatrics, okay, and those creatures, his entourage. So let's see, verse 17. Son of man, I have made you a watchman unto the house of Israel. Okay, so he was observing them. Therefore, hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. So although they're captives, they need warning. All right. Verse 18. When I say unto the wicked, you shall surely die, and you give him not warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at your hand. That part. Let me read that again. At our hand. It says, when I say unto the wicked, you shall surely die, and you give him not warning, nor speak to warn the wicked from his wicked way, to save his life, the same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at the prophet and prophetess's hands, who did not give the warning. Because now this wicked man that would die in his iniquity, he could say, I didn't know. Because we who know better, we who've been given the message, we didn't deliver the message. So now he got an excuse for still living in sin. It's like, I never got the message. Let's read on. And that's our fault for not delivering the message, no matter how scary the people are that we're meant to be delivering the messages to. God said, I don't care about all that. I got ways and means of getting around that. You don't need to worry about that. Am I not God? Do you know what God means? Do you put limits on God? Did I not create all this? The sun, the moon, water. Do I not sustain all this? That's what God is saying. And you think that I can't protect you? You need to get real. Or bring you back from the dead. After I told you the story, I put it in the book, the story of Lazarus, how Emmanuel, aka Jesus, let Lazarus die 3 days. They say, I think they said the body was even smelling. And then he brought him back to life. So y'all could see and know for sure that man was dead. Lazarus was dead. And then Emmanuel brought him back to life. Emmanuel, aka Jesus. And the same God will do for us. There's no excuse. So 19, verse 19. Yet if you warn the wicked, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but you have delivered your soul, prophet and prophetess. We have delivered our soul because we delivered the message. It's like, I'm going to give you the message, and whatever you want to do with it, that's your business. Okay? I'm not responsible after I delivered this message. Ta-ta. Cheerio. Bye-bye. Okay. So verse 20. Again, when a righteous man does turn from his righteousness and commit iniquity, and I lay a stumbling block before him, he shall die. Because you have not given him warning. He shall die in his sin, and his righteousness, which he has done, shall not be remembered. But his blood will I require at your hand. So we're like shepherds. Just give a warning. Just give a warning and roll out. Just say what God tells you to say and go about your business, bruv. You don't even have to think about them anymore. It's up to them what they want to do with the information. Okay? Even if they don't want to believe that you're a prophet or prophetess, that's not your business. Because people know how to pick sense from nonsense. They don't have no excuse. So they could They could go to God with all the excuses in the world that they want to. They heard the message. It doesn't matter what you look like, what you smell like, how much money you got, what color your skin is. You gave the message. If they chose not to listen to you for whatever reason, it has nothing to do with you. Verse 21. Nevertheless, if you warn the righteous man that the righteous sin not, and he does not sin, he shall surely live, because he is warned. Also, you have delivered your soul. See? It's like collecting good karma. Verse 22. Because sometimes all people need is guidance. It's not everybody that's doing wrong that want to do wrong. Some people are only living a life of sin because they don't know any better, or they don't have the courage to do better, and things like that. Because before I became conscious of the fact that I have the right to make my own choices, and however I was living is not how I like automatically have to live, I was just doing whatever. To be honest, I always had a kind of mind that I would do my own thing, but there were some instances where I was just doing what was done before, or just watching other people and doing what other people do. But I didn't even know that I had the power to think for myself. I was like 19 years old when I started thinking for myself, like actively, consciously thinking. Because usually I'd just be like a blank board. But when it comes time to act, I've always known how to act, because I guess I had already done those lessons in my past life, where I had already decided what kind of person I want to be. That's why in part one, when we were talking about how did God show up to me, God didn't show up to me and like proposition me to become a prophet, a prophetess in this life. It happened in my past life. So I don't remember how it happened. I don't remember how God approached me. But I came into this life with a lot of lessons from my past life. So certain foundations were already set. So I was strong enough to make up my own mind and determine what type of person I wanted to be. But I wasn't the type to actually think about things. Like literally, I was not thinking. When I'm not working, like doing something, I am just blank in my mind. That's how I was until I was like 19. And then I was with Malika's dad, and he's the one that God sent him with the message, and it was like a light bulb literally turned on. And from that, I was a different person, because it's like I was given the power to be a sovereign being, like to be a creator rather than just be an imitator. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Like I could start things. I'm not just a follower, I'm a leader too. But I didn't know that I had the power and right to lead, starting with my own life. Because when you grow up as a child, they kind of make you believe that you have to listen to everything that your parents and whatnot say like that. But when they came to me with things that I didn't agree with, I was still strong enough in my willpower and my intelligence and my moral code to say, nah, I'm not that girl. I'm not doing that. Yeah. So I came into this life from my past life having conquered certain levels of personal development already. Yeah. So, verse 23. Then I arose and went forth into the plain, and behold, the glory of the Lord stood there, as the glory which I saw by the river of Chebar, and I fell on my face. 20, verse 24. Then the Spirit entered into me, and set me upon my feet, and spoke with me, and said unto me, Go, shut yourself within your house. Verse 25. But you, O son of man, behold, they shall put bands upon you, and shall bind you with them, and you shall not go out among them. Brr, what is that? Is that binding magic? Because God said, go shut yourself in your house in verse 24. Then in verse 25, it says, they shall put bands upon you, and you shall bind you with them. So what's these bands? And you shall not go out among them. So how is Ezekiel binded to them? Yet Ezekiel is locked away in his house, not among them. Let's read on. Maybe we'll get some answers. So we got verse 26. And I will make your tongue cleave to the roof of your mouth, that you shall be dumb, and shall not be to them a reprover, for they are a rebellious house. Reprover. I need my dictionary. Hang on. I think reprover is like after you've delivered the message, telling them, God said no, don't do that. God don't want you to keep repeating yourself. I think that's what a reprover is, like a correctional officer, civilian. So the word reprove. Okay, reprove means to reprimand someone. So yeah, after you've warned them, God basically said to Ezekiel, after you warn them, go and lock yourself inside your house. And then God said, they're going to put bands on you, and they shall put bands upon you and shall bind you with them. So it's like they're trying to include Ezekiel in their folly, in their evil doings. So finally you come out, excuse me. So it's like, okay, so God took Ezekiel to where this set of Israelites are. And Ezekiel is an Israelite too. So God took him there to basically give them the warning about what they're doing wrong. And after he delivered that message, God tell Ezekiel, go and lock yourself inside your house. But just know that they're going to put bands on you, and they're going to bind you with them. So that means it's like these naughty people are saying like, he is one of them too. So it's like, there's no difference between us. You're just like us. That's what they want to say. But God said, you know what? Go and lock yourself in the house, because you have already delivered the message. And whatever these people choose to do, when I bring down wrath upon them, you are not going to be in the way. So they can say that they're binding you. They could do whatever kind of binding magic or whatever kind of bands they try to bind you to them with. It doesn't matter, because I know who are the guilty parties and who is innocent. Go to your house. And as a matter of fact, I'm going to make your tongue stick to the top of your mouth, so you can't even talk to them anymore, because you've already spoken. You're not a broken record. That's basically what God is saying here. They heard you the first time. So, verse 26 again, and I will make your tongue cleave to the roof of your mouth, that you shall be dumb, and shall not be to them a reprover, for they are a rebellious house. So it don't make no sense you keep talking to them because they don't care anyway. They're gonna find every excuse in the book to keep being who they are, doing what they've been doing, and trying to make themselves feel comfortable in their wrongdoings. But the magic is God already sent someone to tell them, yo, y'all need to stop doing that. Simple. After that, you, the prophet or prophetess, you're free to go. Verse 27. But when I speak with you, I will open your mouth, and you shall say unto them, thus says the Lord, thus says the Lord God. He who hears, let him hear, and he who forbears, let him forbear, for they are a rebellious house. And to be rebellious means to fight against something or someone, to reject. So that's chapter 3. Now, before I come back and do chapter 4, I'm going to read it myself to see if it's something that I need to share among you. Or you guys can read it yourself. And then another time, if God tell me come back and do this, I'll do chapter 4 in a live because I'm kind of liking this. So, yeah, that's the end of chapter 3. So, next time we could continue from chapter 4 and see what happens next, if there's any more messages in there for us that we need to know as prophets and prophetesses. Okay, so yeah, it's in their best interest for them not to judge us by our appearance. The fact that we're male or female, the fact that we're British or American or Caribbean or African or Indian or Chinese or any of the other places that I don't really know much about. It don't matter where we come from. If we're a prophet, we're a prophet. If we're a prophetess, we're a prophetess. And if God give you a message to give to the people, go give it to the people and go about your business. Drop it right there. You've delivered your message. How they receive you is none of your business. You have delivered the message. And do not keep repeating yourself like a broken record. Right? Because we got better things to do, like sleep and eat and shit and play with our children and cook some food and go in the swimming pool or go to the beach or shit, go to work, go do some of our hobbies. We got better shit to do. Right. So, if you were wondering about you delivering messages, now you know. Just deliver your message and roll the fuck out. Don't let God have to cleave your tongue to the roof of your mouth to shut you up. Leave. Go back to your place and curl up in your spot. Go enjoy your family and your loved ones. You've done your job. Right. So, until next time, lovelies, I'll see you guys. Thank you for being here with us. And we will come back and we will learn some more of some of this juicy stuff that's in this book. I'm telling you, the Bible, y'all need to get a physical copy. The older, the better. But get a physical copy of the Bible. It's a great book. You don't mean you have to take everything in there the way that they say it. It's just a nice little guidebook. Hear of the experiences of our ancestors and things like that. And there are some messages in there for us too. But it's not the way that they try and give it to us, like we have to take everything in the Bible. And if you're not doing and believing everything in the Bible just as it is, then you're heathen somehow. Fuck them. Okay? Your walk with God is a personal one. This is other people's walk with God. We can learn something from it, but that don't mean we need to take it and make it our reality, our experience. See how God showed up to Ezekiel. I'm sure God showed up to each one of you in its own way, and it probably wasn't as dramatic as this. With four beasts, four faces on each side, four faces, four wings, and their car is a spaceship, what I'm gonna call a spaceship. God didn't show up to you like that. What's your story? That's your business. Okay? That's Ezekiel's business in there. That's how God chose to show up to Ezekiel. For a reason, God showed up to Ezekiel like that. So how did God show up to you? How did God show up to me? I don't know how God showed up to me in the last life, but in this lifetime, how God showed up to me was, I always knew that God was real in this lifetime, but when I became conscious of God was around 19 years old, 19, 20 years old. Because I was hearing them say about how Selassie is God, and I had the same response like most people, like, God is a man? That was my response at first. And then God introduced itself. That time I was pregnant with Malika, so that's around 1920. Yeah, but I was already seeking God, like consciously at that point. And then around 2001, I should say, not 2021, 2001-ish, I remember I was chilling in the house because I used to talk to God all the time, and I said to God, if that's you for real, make it rain right now. And as they would say, I kid you not, I lie not to you. I heard about 5 droplets on the window. We were in the Caribbean, so it's those galvanized windows. I heard like bing, 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 something like that. And that was it. I was like, all right, it's you. Okay? Because I was talking to a spirit in my head all the time. I was talking to God all the time, but I wasn't 100% sure. So I was like, if that's you for real, God, make it real right now, because you're God, you could do anything. And God made it rain for me, and it was short and sweet. So God didn't even do an elaborate pouring down. It was just like literally about 5 drops hitting against the galvanized window. So if I wasn't paying attention, I could have missed it. And that's how I got my confirmation this lifetime that I'm rolling with the G of G's. Okay? The capital G. Okay? Of all the G's. Yeah. That's my brethren. That's my sisterin. That's my mother. That's my father. That's my lawyer. That's my provider. That's my lover. That's my chef. That's my maid. That's my God is my everything. That's my counselor. That's my doctor. That's my everything, bro. Yeah. And we've been together ever since. They lived happily ever after. Anyhow, thank you guys so much for joining me. Until next time, my lovelies. Take care.